So how does Watson get that to federal court, and what method does he have? If you're advising him, what is your team coming up with if Deshaun Watson does in fact get that year suspension, decides to take it to federal court? How does he do it? Where is there a chance for him to get that reduced?
Sure. It's all about the venue. Motion. This is not going to be a normal lawsuit where you file a complaint and then the other side has 30 days to respond. This is going to be called a motion to vacate the arbitration award, or a petition to vacate the arbitration award. Looking back at Deflategate and the Ezekiel Elliott case, the NFL and the NFLPA have always engaged in a race to the courthouse to get the more favorable forum. The NFL prefers to litigate these issues in the Southern District of New York, which is obligated to follow the Second Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals decision in the Deflategate case, which makes it very difficult for federal courts to overturn labor arbitration decisions. The NFLPA, by contrast, would prefer to litigate this case in Delaware. And what they would be filing is a motion to vacate the arbitration award. The NFL would be filing a motion to confirm the arbitration award. So they would basically be the flip side of the same coin, or two sides of the same coin. And the reason why the PA would want to file a lawsuit in Delaware is that the disciplinary officer was a former chief judge of the U.S. District Court in Delaware. She served on that bench for 25 years. She was the former chief judge. And today, of the 5 judges that serve on that court, 3 of them were colleagues with Sue Robinson. The other 2 practiced for years in front of her. So she's a very familiar person to the judiciary in Delaware. And I would think that a former colleague or a former practitioner in front of Judge Robinson when she was on the bench in Delaware would be likely to look very favorably upon her analysis and on her reasoning. So clearly the league doesn't want to be in Delaware. The league wants to be in New York. The union wants to be in Delaware. And it's all about who wins the race to the courthouse, because under federal litigation practice, there's a concept known as the first to file rule. The jurisdiction where venue attaches first, the first filed venue, is the one that keeps the case. And what we saw transpire in the Elliott case and in the Deflategate case is that the league controls the timing of the release of the decision, because either Commissioner Goodell is the appellate judge, or one of his associates or former colleagues or arbitrators is the judge, and they tip the NFL off to the release or the timing of the opinion. The league runs with it to federal court in New York and secures jurisdiction in the Southern District. And I think what Watson needs to do here, what Jeffrey Kessler needs to do here, is get an assurance from Peter Harvey that if you're going to be an objective judge and treat both parties fairly, you have to release the decision simultaneously to both sides, so that there's no unfair head start given to the National Football League. And if I'm Jeffrey Kessler, he's got a complaint, a motion to vacate the arbitration award already pre-written, and he's got local counsel in Delaware that can run to the courthouse the moment this 1-year suspension is issued, and he can get into federal court in Delaware before the league can get into federal court in New York. And by accomplishing that, the lawsuit would be pending in a Delaware federal court rather than the New York federal court. But there's also a scenario in which the later filed lawsuit in Delaware, if it were to be the case, could still be the case where venue attaches, because that's where the arbitration took place or the disciplinary hearing took place. And if the league tries any shenanigans here with an early release of the opinion and they try to win the race to the courthouse before the union knows what hits them, well, that smacks of bad faith, forum shopping, and inequitable conduct. And the first filed court may say, wait a second, National Football League, you've engaged in gamesmanship here. We're going to transfer this case to Delaware. So at an outset, it's initially the battle of who secures jurisdiction first and which federal court hears this dispute.